Now, it's the moment we've all been waiting for.
This is it. Yay. Okay, so not only is she my best friend going back now more than 20 years.
Oh, boy.
She is also the director of member relations and grief support for an organization in Michigan called Hearts of Hope. Colleen has gone through some extraordinary circumstances in her life, and today she's going to share a little bit about that with us. But first, Colleen, can you tell us what is congenital heart what is a congenital heart defect, so we can get a little background on this?
Sure. Congenital is just that, congenital, meaning that it is present at birth. So it's not something that you acquire, it's something that you're born with. And congenital heart defects affect many, many families, many babies, 40,000 babies a year, in fact, are born with some type of congenital heart defect. There are tons of different congenital heart defects out there, some more severe than others, but that is. But
I want to take a step back because Gina and Colleen have been friends for almost 20 years. Gina and I really only met about 5 years ago and got married about 3 years ago. So Colleen is kind of new in my life, and the things that happened to you and your son Tommy, I wasn't around for at the beginning. Tell us what it was like. When did you get the word? Was it still when you were pregnant with Tommy?
Yes, we were diagnosed in utero at the 20-week ultrasound, which is my big passion, is to always make sure you get good ultrasounds done and ask questions about the baby inside. But we found out at that point, and it was shocking and devastating because, of course, we were just going into the ultrasound expecting to get good news, and instead we're told that our baby's heart was not developing, it was small, and then we later found out within a couple of weeks that he actually had a quite severe heart defect, which quite often can prove to be fatal.
And that's called?
That it was called hypoplastic left heart syndrome, which means basically that the left side of the heart does not develop.
Right.
So, and from then, the rest of the pregnancy was a matter of getting informed, trying to find the right place to go to handle all of this, because we were presented basically 3 options: do 3 open heart surgeries to try to replumb the heart, compassionate care was an option, and heart transplant was also an option, but not a very viable one.
When you talk about compassionate care, when they say that, that's a very, very kind way of saying you should abort your child.
Right.
Yes, and that's one thing that
termination.
I know terminate the pregnancy, which I know you're passionate about that as well. In terms of when you go into that 20-week ultrasound, be informed and understand that you don't have to choose that option.
Right, and when the information is given to you, it's so grim, it was for us anyway, that, there was not a lot of hope delivered at that ultrasound. And there is a lot of hope even for the most severe of heart defects.
And so little Tommy was born, and eventually you found perhaps the best place in the world to treat congenital heart defects.
Yes, we quickly, toward the end of our pregnancy, found out without a doubt we were going to be headed down to Ann Arbor, Mott Children's Hospital. They have a leading congenital heart center there, and just an amazing staff of doctors that have become it's a second home to us. And we found hope, and that was the moment where I felt, this might be okay.
Right. Right.
So I don't know if you can do this, in just a couple of minutes, but I mean, Tommy is now 10 years old.
Yes.
He's had a very long journey with this. Your entire family has. And can you give us just a little bit of that story?
Yes, we were told that he would need 3 open heart surgeries to replumb his heart, all before the age of 2. So we did that. We went through the 3, and then he had what I call 2 bonus open heart surgeries because he had a valve issue that not all children get or have with HLHS, but he did. We did 2 more open heart proactive surgeries to try to repair the valve, and then we had an unfortunate failure of that valve. And we thought we were headed down a really bad road, but for 2 years his heart was able to compensate. It was truly a miracle, and sustain him for 2 years until his heart really did go into severe failure. And at that point he was placed on a heart transplant waiting list. We waited for a full year. His health deteriorated. We were, I have to admit, losing hope that they would ever find a match for him due to his past surgeries. But we got the miracle.
Well, there were a couple
was
miracles
20 months
along the
ago.
way. I got to say,
Yeah.
I mean, I had I guess it's the privilege. I mean, no one wants to have to walk through this, but if you have a friend or someone in your life who has to go through something like this, it becomes a privilege to walk alongside that person. And I watched Tommy. I mean, there were many miracles along the way, but there were two that really stand out. The first was when the valve began to fail.
Right.
What happened inside? I mean, technically, we don't need to get into that, but what I can tell you is that the doctors were baffled.
Right.
They were all scratching their heads going, how is that kid out in the hall running around while we're looking at this on the screen, this echo of his heart? And that was a miraculous moment. And then the second miracle came when leading up to transplant. And maybe you can tell just a smidge about that.
That was in summer of 2009.
Yes,
right?
June of 2009. And he was, for 6 months, he'd been placed on a 24/7 pump of a medicine that helped to keep his native heart going. And that was, like I said, when we started to think, is this really going to happen? And the doctors were being realistic with us that due to his high antibodies, finding a match would be extremely difficult. So we were coming up on a year. His health was deteriorating. And on June 3rd of 2009, that call came in the middle of the night. And it was shocking, and you guys were a part of that.
we did. And you talk about the privilege. And like I say, I'm kind of new to this party.
But you weren't new that day.
I wasn't new that day, and an extraordinary scene took place, and I'll never forget it as long as I live. In the hospital corridor, all of these doctors and nurses who had come to know your family and come to know Tommy wheeled Tommy out as he went into surgery, and he went through a crowd of family and very close friends who had gathered on this incredible morning in June of 2009 at the hospital, and they stopped, and a prayer was offered, and
off he went.
By Tommy himself, though. I mean,
by
he
Tommy
prayed.
himself.
Yes,
and he, in his words, do you remember the words exactly? I mean, not quote.
Oh,
but
yes. Before we left the house, I was frantic and gathering things, and I looked into his room, and he was kneeling next to his bed and had his hands folded. And when he got up and walked out, I said, "Buddy, what were you doing?" And he said, "Just praying." I just prayed, and I said, "God, if this is the right heart for me, thank you. And if it's not, that's okay too." So it's cool. He was 9 at the time.
9
Yeah.
9 years old. So now he's
I'm going to
10.
cry right now.
I know.
I mean, I actually lived through this, but I'm going to cry again.